Well, let's bring our vehicle up here into the hierarchy, which will then put it into our scene here. So I'm going to grab the vehicle and drag it. I'm going to drop it right on top of that car root. And what that'll do is it will parent it to the car root. And there we go. So now we can see the vehicle. And it looks like it's pretty well situated, actually. It's parented it to the origin of that cube. And that doesn't look too bad. We can disable that cube or hide it in this view here. If we select the cube here, we can come over and uncheck this in the inspector, and that will hide that cube so we can't see it. The lighting is a little odd, so let's work on that real quick. We've got that directional light here in the scene. You can see it here. If we select it, now we can see it here. We've got the transform or the move tool enabled, and it's kind of at an angle here, right? That's because we have local orientation turned on. Let's click this and change it to global. Now you can see it's there in the global axis. So let's just grab this and pull it straight up like this. Just bring it up so we can see it. And then I think I want to rotate it a bit. Let's come over here to the rotate tool. I'll click here. Now we can see the rotation gizmo, and I'll just turn that around like this so we can kind of see it a little bit better, at least on this side here. This side's still kind of hard to see. So what we should probably do is put another light in here. Let's go back to the move tool, and I'm going to move it to one side over here. And then I'm going to duplicate it and move it over to the other side. So let's press Control D. And now we have two of them here, a directional light and a directional light 1. So let's just move that new one over here. I'll go back to the rotation tool and let's rotate it over so it's pointing toward that vehicle like that. Now it's a little too bright, it's a little too much. We've got two shadows, so that's not really going to work. So what let's do is take this second light and let's take the intensity down. Instead of 1 for the intensity, let's type in 0.4. Let's do that. So it isn't quite as bright. We can see over here a little bit better. Maybe let's take it up to 0.5. Yeah, so we can still see over here, but it's in the shadow. Now, over on this side, we have a shadow here, but that's not really what we want out in the sunlight. We just want one shadow. So with this still selected, let's come over here to shadow type and let's turn this off to no shadows. There we go. So we've got one main sunlight, right? But we've got some fill here on the other side so we can see what's happening over here. All right, so we've got those taken care of. What let's do is let's put them in one group here. Let's come over to the hierarchy and right click and let's create an empty. And this empty game object will be kind of like a folder for us. So let's call this lights, and then we'll take the main directional light and drag it into there, right there. And we'll take this one and drag it into there. And now we've got a folder with our lights. So now we need to figure out where the tires need to be. And once we do that, we may find we need to move this vehicle up or down a bit. So let's work on the tires now. To do that, I'm going to bring the tires in temporarily. I'm going to parent them to these objects here, but this is only a temporary thing while we're getting them in place. Ultimately, what we're going to do is over here, we're going to drag our wheel object, whichever one we are going to use, over here into the wheel shape slot right here. We're going to put that in there, and it's then going to do the job of parenting and controlling them based on where we put these wheel templates. But to figure out where the templates need to be, we kind of need to put the tires on them. So let's do that first. So this A0L, that's this tire over here on the left. Let's go ahead and drag the wheel left tire right onto that object so it parents it right there. There it is. Okay. Let's now do that for the other side as well. Take the right wheel, grab that, and drag it right on top of that. And there it is. Okay. Let's do the same thing back here. Here's the left rear. I'll grab that, drag it right on top of that. And the right rear, drag that on top of that A1R. Okay, so there are our tires. They're not exactly in the right place, and that's fine. What we're going to do is select both this A0L and A0R, and let's move this up until it's about where it needs to be. I've got the move tool enabled. I'm just going to drag straight forward till it's about where it needs to be. Now, I can go to the side view if I click on this X axis, the red one here, like that, and then I want to click on this and change it from perspective to isometric or orthographic, whichever you prefer. All right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to move these forward a bit like this. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's do the back. Let's select this one and this one. And let's move these back to about right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. How is the height of the vehicle, I wonder? What do you think about that? Should it come down some? Let's tumble around and see if we can see inside here. Let me change back to perspective right here. And I'll scroll out some. And now let's take a look under here. Well, first thing I can see is they're too close in. So this is the right side. So let's do the A1R and A0R. Let's do those two. And let's pull these out some, like this. And let's do the same thing on the other side. A0L, and I'm going to control click A1L, and let's pull these out until they're in the right place, right about there. Okay. Now, I feel like that's pretty good, actually. At least we could try it and see how that's going to work. Yeah, let's go ahead and try that and see. And let me click on the X, change to orthographic. I want to move this down to just this line right here. So maybe I'll select that whole car route and just pull down just a smidge like this. We'll see how that's going to work in just a bit here. All right, go back to perspective, and there we go. Now what let's do is go ahead and put the materials on here. So I'm going to select the vehicle first, and let's take a look at this. I'll scroll this down, and here are the objects that came from Blender: the vehicle, the spare tire, the machine gun, and the glass. Let's work on the vehicle first. If I select that, you can see over here, there's a material here, but it's all grayed out. We can't get to it. And that's just because Unity has created kind of a default material based on some of the information that it received from Blender. But we can't really use the Blender materials in here. We have to create new materials. So there's a materials folder right here. I'm going to go ahead and create that in here. And what I'll do is I'll create a new folder. I'll right-click and go to Create and Folder. And let's call this, well, let's call it Oshkosh MATV. That's what it is, right? So in here, we're going to create our new materials. So I will go to Create and Material, and this will create a standard Unity material. You can see it here in the inspector. I'll call this Oshkosh Vehicle Main. And then let's do that again. The next one we have is the spare tire. So let's create a new one again. Create Material, Oshkosh Spare Tire. There we go. The next one's the machine gun. Let's create Material, create the Oshkosh machine gun, and then glass. We're going to deal with here in just a minute with that MK Glass asset package that we imported. So now that we have these, let's go ahead and click on the vehicle here. Right? Here's that dummy unusable material here. We're going to click on our vehicle material right here and just drag it straight over into there. And there it is. All right, now let's try the spare tire. Let's click on that. Here's that material that came in with it. Let's grab the new standard Unity material for the spare tire and drag that in. All right. And now for the machine gun, here it is right up here. Let's select it. And let's drag the machine gun material right onto it. There we go. So we've got those materials hooked up. That's good. Now what we can do is we can actually apply our textures. Let's do that. Let's come over here to our textures folder. Where is it? Here we go. Here's our textures folder. Let's create a new folder here and call it Oshkosh Textures. And let's open that up and right click. And let's go to Import New Assets. Now in here I can sort by type. This is our exports folder, and all these PNG files is what we want. The gun, the spare tire, vehicle, wheel, we want all of this. So let's just select this, shift click that, and let's just import all of these. And there we go. There they are. So you can select them and you can see them over here. So the first ones here are the gun. So let's select that gun object. And we have our new gun material over here. And notice that these are no longer grayed out. That's because we've got that Unity material in there. And let's begin dragging these in. So we've got gun albedo. Here's the albedo right here. So let's grab that, drag it right into there, and drop it. Next, we've got the metallic. Let's grab that and drag into the metallic. And next, the normal map. Drag that right onto the normal map slot. And it says the texture is not marked as a normal map. So let's click Fix Now. There we go. I'll hit the F key to kind of zoom in here. And there we can see the textures on the gun, right? Okay, that looks pretty good actually. So let's now do the same thing with the vehicle. Let's select the vehicle object over here, scroll this down here, and under vehicle, we'll take the albedo and drag it into there, the metallic, and the vehicle normal right into here, and click Fix Now. And there we go. Now we can see the textures of the vehicle. All right, let's do one more. Let's do that spare tire back here. Let's select the object in the hierarchy, turn down the material here, and where's the spare tire? Here it is. Let's grab that into this slot, the albedo, the metallic into here, and the normal map right into there, and click Fix Now. And there we go. Now we can see the tire. The normal map isn't real strong on this, is it? So we can actually come over here to the normal map slot and come over, and instead of 1, we could just type in 2, and that gives us a little bit more normal intensity there. That's pretty good. So we've got a few of our materials on so far. In the next video, we need to set up the tires and the glass. So that's coming up next.